Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Brian Moak, the CEO and founder of Hart Certified Auto Care. And with over 90 years of auto repair experience, Hart combines old-fashioned service with expert mechanical repair to ensure that each and every customer has a premium-level experience. We're going to talk to Brian about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and we have a great guest today. We're meeting with Brian Moak, the CEO and founder of Hart Certified Auto Care. And with over 90 years of auto experience, Hart combines old-fashioned service with expert mechanical repair to ensure that each and every customer has a premium-level experience. Hi, Brian. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Great, Marty. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Brian. It's great to have you on the show. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning?
I'm calling from Evanston, Illinois. It's right outside of Chicago.
Oh, fantastic. How's the weather there today, Brian?
It's beautiful today. It's sunny and great weather today.
Thank God, right? It's we had a long winter, didn't we?
Yes, we have.
You have a great story, Brian. I was reading about you, and I said, wow. I said, and this is one of the reasons, we started this show 11 years ago, and I was on reading it. I said, wow, this is a really interesting story. Maybe, you could tell our guests a little bit about, the history of Hart Certified Auto Care and, how you got this whole thing going.
Sure. So the company that the original company that we had was called Duxler Complete Auto Care. Duxler had been around since 1924, owned by two families, the Duxler family and then mine. And so my family bought the company in 1983. That was my father, and then I came in to work with him in 2004 and bought him out in 2009. Since then, I've been on a mission to create something pretty spectacular and to build on the foundation that basically carried us for over 90 years. And so one of the things that we did was in kind of getting prepared and ready for franchising and growth, we rebranded and became Hart Certified Auto Care. And Hart stands for helping everyone achieve reliable transportation.
That's clever. I love that. I thought that was very clever. How you came up with that acronym. I said that's really it's fantastic. How does Heart Certified Auto Care, Brian, differentiate themselves from other like franchises in the industry? Because obviously there's other players in the industry in your business. How do you differentiate yourself?
It's a great question. I think that everyone does what they do well. What we do exceptionally well, we're really in the hospitality business, and we happen to fix cars. And so, when you compare our customer satisfaction, when you compare our retention rate, we have a 99% customer satisfaction rate with 15,000 active customers. We have a 94% retention rate. That's compared to an industry standard of about 55%. So we really we kind of brought the service back into the auto repair service industry. And we can do it, and we do it same day. So 94% of our business comes back, and 95% of it is done same day. So when you drop it off in the morning, you get it back in the afternoon, which is something that our customers really depend on. We understand that when your car is in the shop, it's a huge inconvenience. So we do our very best to be as efficient as possible and get that car back to you same day. That would be a huge thing that we do. The other thing that makes us a little bit different is we have an average tenure of 13 years with our employees. And that's because we look at we're in a hospitality business for two customers, the ones that come in through the front door and the ones that check in on the time clock through the back door. And so we take care of our customers up front exceptionally well. We take care of our employees even better. And we do that so that they are a part of our mission, they're a part of the family, and then they give service that can't be had anywhere in our industry.
Those numbers are just really, it's very impressive, Brian. Even like saying, the 13 years average employment. You don't really see that much in today's world. I did my dissertation. I spent 5 years focusing on the significance of job satisfaction. When you say that number, 13 years, I was like, it's very impressive. Is that what prompted you, Brian, to I guess franchise the concept? At what point did you know? You said, okay, you know what? We have something here, we're ready to franchise. What was the catalyst for franchising the concept?
Well, I knew that I wanted to grow, and so I really focused in and became very educated on different growth strategies. And the one strategy that really spoke to me was franchising. And the reason it spoke to me was because you're not just building your business; you're creating multiple levels of opportunity. You're creating this amazing, webbed out system that aligns people that, we look at what we do every day as a mission. We are on a mission to make our customers and help them feel not vulnerable, help them understand. Not only are we in the hospitality business, but we're here to educate. And so when I really started drilling into different growth plans and the idea of creating franchises really everywhere was very appealing to me because when you can take someone that can learn from the 90 years worth of foundation that we have, from the 15 years that I have, we can really bring people on that share our values, that see the world the way that we do, and we can really grow and spread what we're doing to as many places as possible. It was really a very exciting idea, and we kind of jumped in with both feet.
It seems like, when I was studying your background, Brian, I said that's what I got out of it, was that, it seems to me your strength is building relationships. You know how to build relationships with customers. You know how to build relationships with employees. So here you are, you're taking it to another level now. And because franchising, I guess we could say is almost like really a relationship, isn't it, between you and the franchisee. Would you agree with that or expand on that a bit?
I couldn't agree with that more. And as a matter of fact, the way that I look at it is that a franchisee becomes my customer.
Right.
And so the way that I look at it is if I'm able to provide 15,000 active accounts with 99% satisfaction and keep 94 out of 100 of them coming back, imagine the level of service that a franchisee is going to get. And
sure,
so I look at it like I'm here to serve them. And I'm here to help them. And their growth is our growth. And so we become aligned on one thing, and that is that success is the only thing we want. I mean, we have to be successful. We have to do a good job. We have to make sure that that all of the values that we live by are lived by every day. And that's just, I mean, it gets me so amped up. I just can't wait to get going.
It's and I could hear that in your voice too. That you're definitely very passionate about this industry, and when we're talking about relationships, too, Brian. I guess we're talking about trust. When we first moved out here to Pennsylvania, I have to tell you, I mean, it took us forever to find an auto service that we just trusted. We always felt like we were getting ripped off, and I don't know anything. My dad never taught me anything about cars growing up, so I mean, I could have went in there and they could have said anything to me, but I just never had this level of trust, and so it's just so important in your industry, isn't it, to have that level of trust and make the customer feel comfortable. I think there's a lot of businesses in your industry that don't seem to do that, or they're just missing the boat on that.
Yeah, I believe that when a customer walks in one of our buildings, unless they're an expert on their vehicle, which most of our customers are not, they have an extreme level of vulnerability. Yeah. And the vulnerability is that they're buying something they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And so, when I came into this business early on, my dad made a joke. He said, "Are you sure you want to get into this business? It's not the candy business. Nobody's happy to see you. You might have people that love you, but when they walk in, no one is happy to see you." And I took that actually as a personal mission of how do we turn something negative or kind of, I mean, I use this word a lot and it's kind of silly, but kind of icky feeling, and how do we turn it into something very positive? And so what we realized is that the difference between maybe the way that other operators in the industry might operate and the way that we look at things is our job is to kind of help cure that vulnerability. And the only way that happens is by talking to someone as a real person, not talking down to them, not acting like you know more and they they don't. And really, our job is to educate. I mean, I look at it, and part of our training is that if Marty, if you came into my business and you went home that night and you had a significant other and you couldn't explain what you bought that day, then we failed you. Wow. And that's our job. That's the way that we look at the world, and that's the way that we've become so successful.
That's great. It's amazing how you're able to, turn that. As you said, I'm going to share that with my marketing students, Brian, if you don't mind, explaining it as icky, you know what I mean, and turning that around into really something positive. I think that's so fantastic. The majority of our listeners, Brian, we call them aspiring frantrepreneurs. Most of them, they want to get into franchising. What do you look for then in your franchisees? Like, what types of characteristics or traits do you look for?
Well, that's a great question. And so we have, 3 corporate locations, and I've made a commitment that in our first year, we really just launched as a franchisor. We're going to take on five locations this year, and no more, because I want to make sure that our first year we do it right, that they get the best service possible, and that we really are in it with them. And I feel like 5 would be a good number for that. But what we are looking for. So I don't have what we have looked for. I'm going to tell you what we are looking for. We're looking for someone who has what we call, and it's a trademark term, I just did it, it's called compassionate urgency. Wow. And compassionate urgency means that we understand how somebody else feels. We understand the situation that they're in. We explain to them through compassionate eyes and through an understanding that they are not happy, that we are trying to recommend work to them. They don't understand it. They don't want to spend the money. They'd rather go on vacation. They'd rather go out for a nice dinner. Putting money into your car is the last thing anyone wants to do. So when we're looking for a franchisee, we're looking for someone that has a high level of empathy, that has a high level of compassion, and that has an incredibly urgent personality. Because the reality is, to have the level of same-day service and to be as efficient as we are and to manage that high level of service, you can't do that if you're not an urgent person. So the rest we'll teach you. I mean, if someone has those things, if they're empathetic and they're compassionate and they're kind and they're urgent, those things would be the key factors that I would look for, because the rest is stuff that can be trained.
That's interesting because they're not like, if you go back in the history of automotive service, those aren't like words that were often typically used, as empathy, compassion.
Those aren't words that were ever used.
Ever used, right, exactly. So I understand why you trademark compassionate urgency. I love that term. It's really, it's very powerful, Brian. What's the training like then, Brian? I mean, once you decide, that, you indeed like them and they like you and they're going to want to come on board as a franchisee, will they come out to your headquarters then? Is that how it will work?
Absolutely. We have an all-hands-on-deck approach that we've created. We have a phenomenal operations manual that we've put tons, hours and hours of blood, sweat, and tears into. We've got a program that's going to get someone ready. And it's going to be in a classroom setting. It's going to be on the floor. We're actually going to help them get to the point where they're actually running one of my locations for a day or two before they get onto their own. We're really going to support them in every way possible because, like I said, the key is that the first 5, we're going to blow the roof off of it. And so, and obviously we're going to continue that after the first 5, but the first 5 are going to have 100% of me and my focus, and we are just going to, the training is going to set them up for a massive level of success.
That's fantastic. Being that it's a low number of 5, Brian, are you going to do you want to stay in your area then? I mean, as far as where you're looking to grow, are you going to initially stay, I guess, in that kind of Chicago area and then, kind of mushroom, I guess, over the next 10 years throughout the country? Is that how it'll work?
Here's how I look at it. If the people that fit in to the compassionate urgency model, if those people and they share our values and they want to drive our mission, if they're local, then we'll stay local. If we find someone that is just a perfect fit and they're somewhere else, then we're going to go to that somewhere else. We're looking for quality people, and look, we have very specific demographics that we want to mirror because we know how successful we've become in those demographics, and our numbers are incredible. I mean, they are significantly higher than the industry standard. I'm talking about revenues and such. We need to make sure that our demographics that we're going to mirror where we are now, but we're open. We're open. And just so you know, the first 5 are being done deliberately. After that, we're going to open the floodgates.
You in studying your background as well, Brian, I got this feel that, you are certainly indeed, an entrepreneur, and I was mentioning earlier, that our listeners, they want to get into franchising. From everything you've learned, up to this point of your life, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? Because as you know, there's a lot out there today. I think they say there's over 3,500 different systems in the U.S., and a lot of our listeners, they just don't know where to begin because there's so much out there. So from everything you've learned, what advice would you give to our listeners in that quest to buy a franchise?
Find something that suits your personality. And the reality is that if you can be 100% authentic in what you're doing, and you can bring all of who you are to what you're doing, then it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Sure. So if my personality, helping someone become less vulnerable suits my personality. That's why I drove the company in the direction that I drove it. And so my advice would be, it doesn't really matter what the system is. Make sure it fits into your personality. And if it does, you will grow that thing so fast because it will be a part of you. It will be a reflection of you. It will be authentic and aligned to who you are. And that's when the most success happens for anybody. My opinion.
I think that's and I think that's great advice. It's interesting in doing this show such a long time now, Brian, is that, we'll get emails all the time from people saying, they want to buy a particular franchise because they went in there, they saw it was crowded, or, there's a lot of crazy reasons why people want to get into it. And you're like, no, that's not it. That's not the reason you want to do it, So I think that's fantastic advice. So what's the best way then for our listeners, Brian, to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Is there should they go directly to the website? And the website is fantastic, by the way. It has a lot of great information in there. I love the mission statement. I thought that was very motivational and inspirational. I thought you guys did a great job with that. Is that the best place they should go to get more information?
Absolutely. And by the way, Marty, if you like that website, wait until I believe Wednesday. Our new one's about to launch, and it's going to knock your socks off.
Oh, is it really? Oh, fantastic. That's great. And is it the same URL address, Brian? You could plug that, too, if you like.
Yeah, it's heartcertifiedautocare.com. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I got to tell you, it was really great having you on the show, Brian. Again, I've been studying your model for weeks now, so I said I can't wait to talk to you because, before even talking to you, I could tell that you were very passionate about this business and this industry, and I have no doubt that Hart is going to be a very successful franchise. So I'd like to already invite you back, over the next year or so as you continue to grow because I think
that'd be wonderful,
this is really
I appreciate
exciting.
that. Thank you.
It was great. You're welcome, Brian. It was great having you on the show, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. We've been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 8 years and over 400 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today you're going to get to hear from Chris Simic, who is the founder of FranchiseTeacher.com, and Chris has over 30 years of business and franchise experience as an independent business owner, a franchisee, and a franchisor. And Chris said something very profound that we haven't heard on our show in over 8 years. He mentioned that you have to almost work harder to fail at franchising than to succeed in franchising, and he explains why.
Most people, about 90% I think I've seen, buy a business other than they first looked at.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that's a big number too, isn't it, Chris? Most people, they go in with these certain expectations and they come out with something different, and I find that fascinating.
I absolutely, it never ceases to astound me, but I think that speaks to the value of franchising as a business model and a business method, because people don't have to be in something just because they know it. And quite candidly, sometimes getting involved in a business that you would rather do that you were not involved in allows you the luxury of taking a new career path and to develop something you never would have had the opportunity to had it not been, systematized and prioritized for you. In franchising, it's said that you have to really almost work harder to fail than to succeed, because if you have a good franchise system, if you follow directions, you have to almost purposely not follow them to not do well.
That's true. That's fantastic. We have this great quote in franchising. I think we're going to put that one in there, Chris. I think that's very original, and it's very true. What advice would you give to our listeners? We find that most of them, they're just beginning their search to buy a franchise, Chris, and we find that, most of them just simply, they don't even know where to begin, like you were saying. What advice would you give to them?
I do, when I speak to people looking at franchise, I give them three different pieces of advice. One, make sure you're looking for business for the right reason. Now, a lot of people have things happen in their life. They lose a job or something happens, and they react and maybe say, well, okay, maybe I'll go buy a business. That may not be the reason to do it versus having the luxurious selectivity that here's my opportunity that was created by some adversity. Second thing is that they have to make sure that they are able to be franchisees, that not everybody is designed to be able to follow the systems, procedures, and the processes it takes to be a successful franchise owner. And then I tell them quite candidly is pick a couple of the industries and the price ranges that may have interest to you, and then kind of pin down from there, either using the resources of a consultant or a broker or a team member, or on their own. Either way, but I think that if they take their time, follow the steps, and do it for the right reasons, they'll be on a much smoother pathway to success in owning their own business.
That's well said. What's in the future then for Franchise Teacher, Chris? I mean, where do you see the company 3 to 5 years down the road?
Well, Marty, we've been extremely fortunate and blessed that the business has been around, through Century Franchise Group for many years. And our new FranchiseTeacher.com has taken off. We're representing right now, 7 plus brands. I think in 5 years, our focus will really be even more fine-tuned as the consumer or the prospective business owner is looking for more and more specific information. Breaking down to teach, coach, consult, and advise, I think will be a way for us to assist people in what they need. People, again, don't know what they don't know, but I think the information overload sometimes discourages people too early. They say, this is too much for me to process. If we can break it down into bite-sized pieces, I think more and more people, especially the younger generation, who are looking for the advice and the information they want when they want it, I think is going to do nothing more than continue. Then our next business venture, which launches at the end of this year, is looking to capture all the different franchise brands around the world and put them into one place. So we're looking forward to a future. And franchising is going nowhere but growing. As you said for a long time too, the number of franchise opportunities, and the world's getting to be a smaller place. I think you're going to find a lot of opportunities coming in and going out of different marketplaces in different countries, accessible to more people.
That's fantastic. What's the best way, Chris, for our listeners to get more information on FranchiseTeacher.com? Obviously, FranchiseTeacher.com, but any numbers you'd like them to call or email addresses?
Well, actually, we appreciate www.franchiseteacher.com. And my business partner, Dave, and I offer them the free 1-hour consultation. Fill out the form and take advantage of it.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Chris, for finally coming on the show. I've been following your career for a long time now, and I have just been very impressed with everything that you've done, So when I saw this, I mentioned to you, we don't typically call people to come on the show, but I had to have you specifically on the show. So it was an honor and a privilege to have you on the show today.
Marty, ditto, and again, congratulations on your PhD doctorate. I have read your thesis, and I would recommend it reading if people can get through the information.
I really appreciate that you read it, too, because that's an honor coming from you, so that's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you again, Chris.
Thank
you. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.